I am recording this. Fair warning. Is that really necessary?
What's up, guys? Today we're talking about Eddington, written and directed by Ari Aster. The movie stars Joaquin Phoenix, Emma Stone, Deidre O'Connell, Pedro Pascal, Michael Ward, Luke Grimes, and Austin Butler. Billed as a COVID western, Eddington tells the tale of Joe Cross, a sheriff in the town of Eddington who decides to run against current local mayor Ted Garcia. This all takes place in 2020 during the rise of the COVID-19 pandemic, and if the movie makes anything abundantly clear, it's that we're still living in the chaos, violence, and discomfort that this movie so elegantly paints for us on screen. 5 years ago doesn't really seem like that much time, so many of you will ask, is it too soon? Well, let's find out. Before we go any further, I'm going to go ahead and drop a spoiler warning. So now is your time to pause this video, go watch Eddington, and then come back and let me tell you how to feel about it. Now, let's get into it. Tentative is the word I would use to describe my hype for Eddington. While I enjoyed the wide, wild swings that Ari Aster took in Beau is Afraid, the movie didn't quite live up to its scope or its runtime. Still, I appreciate a director that swings for the fences like Ari does, and Eddington is no different. That said, he had to make Beau is Afraid in order to get to where he's at as a director with Eddington. With Eddington, he fine-crafted the more cartoonish, boyish humor of Beau is Afraid into something entirely fresh and unique, a movie genre blend that is incredibly refreshing to watch unfold on screen. It is his most confident movie as far as his overall vision and messaging goes, and while not quite as defined and straightforward as Hereditary and Midsommar, the more abstract layers of Eddington make it one of the more exciting movies to come out in the 2020s. We all lived through the pandemic. We all did a lot of cringe-worthy things online, and if you were like me, an essential worker, so to speak, at a grocery store, you could probably check off several items on the well-intentioned but ultimately toxic and ill-received things white people did in 2020 and onward list. But that's white supremacy for you. It persists like a virus. So the story of Eddington feels overtly familiar and even comforting at times, greatly aiding in the movie's humor. This is a very, very funny movie, and while not all of the jokes and references work, some fall flat simply for being too real. All of it mostly sticks to the wall like fresh spaghetti. It's an insane tightrope walk achievement that Ari Aster pulled off this movie, and it ranks among some of his best work as director. This may even be his best directed film. Joaquin Phoenix as Joe Cross is a nincompoop. He's the sheriff of the small town of Eddington who is living with his wife and mother-in-law who assumedly moved in with them when the pandemic started. Deidre O'Connell plays Dawn really well, especially after her turn as Oswald's kooky mother in HBO's The Penguin. Obsessed with conspiracy theories and printing out articles and just leaving them around the house. Emma Stone plays Louise Cross, Joe's wife, a broken yet stoic woman that is withdrawn due to past trauma, highly alluded to being sexual. She had an affair or relationship with Mayor Ted Garcia, Pascal, and that is a loudly quiet point of contention in their marriage and in the town. She makes these strange voodoo dolls that she sells on Etsy, ones which Sheriff Cross directs his deputies to order every so often to keep the sales going. The dolls are quite creepy, remnants of the usual iconography and symbolism in Aster's movies. Pawns will be placed and pins will be stabbed. Not much is made of them, at least not on the surface, but I felt their presence to speak loudly in the ways that Emma Stone's Louise stays so violently silent. Aster sets up all these pieces effectively, creating one of my favorite set pieces in literature, movies, television ever, the small town. Ted Garcia's presence as mayor is marked. His face is plastered on walls and signs throughout Eddington. You can't go anywhere without seeing Pascal's gleeful mug. But even Pascal's general likability helps to mask the mayor's true intentions, to turn Eddington into the site of a new AI data center from tech company Solid Gold Magikarp. Yes, Aster threw in a Pokemon reference, whether intentional or not, into the movie. This seems purposeful given the movie's theme of regression and how so many people, myself included, experienced that during the pandemic by diving into nostalgic, childlike hobbies. Solid Gold Magikarp, in connection to actual AI models like GPT-2 and 3, is called an anomalous token, which refers to chaotic outcomes within AI prompts and models. This could very well explain the outcome, characters, and narrative in Eddington, and is also an important in-joke to the movie's ending. The AI element, like other elements lurking in the background here, is vitally important to Aster's vision. The small-town setting of Eddington is effective. It feels empty, though this is how most towns felt during the pandemic. Once we get to the George Floyd killing, the streets slowly flood with BLM protesters and young white kids screaming about their privilege, but that they need to quiet down, but not until after they finish their speech about being on stolen land that they shouldn't even be speaking on. Eddington feels alive for how empty it feels, and that Aster was able to capture this so well speaks volumes about his ability to concoct and maintain a strong visual language. I loved how the small town vibe worked in this movie. Luis's father and Dawn's deceased husband is celebrated in a shrine inside their house. Aster frames Joe in these shots smartly, often begging the question from the audience, what is a man? What is control? Dawn asks Joe at breakfast, as he barely listens to their new ramblings on the latest conspiracy, where he's going to put his anger in these local town issues. What an aggressive statement, yet one with such purpose to put into your son-in-law's head. It's also immediately condescending and emasculating, all passed in front of Luis's quietude like salt and pepper. Emma Stone is so powerful in these scenes, and one of the movie's flaws is not giving her as much to do as Sheriff Cross. That's okay, it's ultimately his movie, a movie about the failings of men, white men specifically, and white people generally. That's fine, but she does amazing work with the little she's giving, and the provocateur status of our dear filmmaker may have something to do with her and other characters' looming presence, but smaller screen time. It's a testament to her prowess as an actor all the same. Much will be made about the runtime, and while I can never argue that a movie needs to be this long, it's paced pretty well. The editing from Lucian Johnston is well done, keeping things brisk and never lingering too long without the next piece of action picking up. It's a delight to look at too. Cinematographer Darius Kanji, Google their previous work, it's an impressive portfolio, showed up and met the assignment. All the shots of Eddington are perfectly framed and shot, with Ari Aster adeptly sequencing everything scene to scene. The lighting in the opening is especially evocative. We're introduced to the town of Eddington from the perspective of a rambling, unhoused person who later becomes a climactic plot point. Purple sunlight cascades upon the town as the unhoused man descends into the chaos of Eddington. Aster's script is sharp too, and this movie could not have worked without the impeccable writing he put on the page first. The Western elements and references are somewhat lost on me, as I mentioned in my Assault on Precinct 13 video, but the John Ford of it all definitely wasn't, as was the clever framing of the Western-style standoff between Cross and Garcia. Aster is showing shades of the Coen brothers here too. The pacing of the movie will definitely not feel the same for everyone. Eddington asks you to sit with its discomfort, which by now is a prerequisite contract agreement when purchasing a ticket to any Ari Aster movie. In a movie full of insecurity, you must be willing to be vulnerable enough to laugh at the way he eschews, criticizes, but ultimately uplifts the feelings of white people and peoples generally during the pandemic. A white woman screaming at a black cop to join the right side sits squarely where the movie wants it to. It's not sitting in the center. Aster is coaxing the audience to grapple with something that in 2025 not all audience members will be ready to answer for, and that's okay. It's why the movie will age well. Tensions between Sheriff Cross and Louise pick up as we realize she is certainly having an affair with a cult leader who plans to oust PDF file rings. There are some incredibly funny screen captures of this subject matter, I might add, and we meet Austin Butler's Vernon Jefferson Peak, clearly an analog for the TikTok, Instagram influencers of that time. People who have no idea what they're doing but have access to podcast equipment and are magnetically charismatic. Another major fumble of the movie is not getting enough time with this character. I love Austin Butler, and he shines for the brief moments he's on screen. Should there be any reason to create an Eddington verse or a sequel, a Vernon Jefferson Peak movie would slap. Along with this, Sheriff Cross finally decides to take control of the mayoral race after dropping into Ted Garcia's campaign rally, responding to a noise complaint. Ted slaps him during their confrontation, which causes Cross to lose it completely, and all things go haywire cough syrup from there. There are some really cool and important decisions made in the movie's finale, some that work really well and some that don't. Mostly the last 10 to 15 minute stretch seems unnecessary, but still is kind of fun to see unfold on screen. Cross definitely contracts COVID, is downing AM/PM cough medicine is no longer lucid and carrying that insecurity, shame, and paranoia ethereally. I loved this, and some of the movie's greatest humor is felt here as the anti-masker could be succumbing to the virus right in front of us. Stupidity on full display, or is it? Incredibly gratifying either way. Cross tries to frame the killing of Ted Garcia on his newly anointed sergeant, Michael, who's also one of the few black people in this town from what's shown. Of course, the movie makes it clear these cops are inadequate and Michael escapes. But then Guy and Cross are drawn out to what we can only assume to be an Antifa pig roast. Or maybe, just maybe, this is Vernon Jefferson Peak's fringe element moving in the distance, though the luxury jetliner scene makes this seem very unlikely, only for an explosion to go off, blowing Luke Grimes' Guy to smithereens. And there's gotta be an in-joke with him being called Guy, right? See what I mean? There's so many things you can unpack with this movie, and thus amplifying the violence of the COVID-era chaos on screen. This moment is one of the best directed sequences I have seen from Aster ever, culminating in a reimagining of the No Justice, No Peace protest protest slogan that climaxes to such hilariously demented levels that it elicited the biggest laugh from me of the entire movie. It is a hauntingly elevated choice from him, and a scene that I cannot stop thinking about. From here, the movie descends into the Western-style shootout its billing sets up for the audience, where Joaquin Phoenix gets to practice some of his best physical and comedic acting of his career. I wonder if Eddington will be recognized by the Academy. I'd like to see it get a nom for original screenplay, but I could see Phoenix getting a lead actor nom as well. Maybe that's an out there choice this early, but I'm putting it on the record now. Overall, though, this is one of my favorite performances from Joaquin Phoenix maybe ever. Both equal parts Freddy from The Master and Beau from Beau is Afraid. It feels very akin to a bonkers level Nick Cage performance in the best possible way. While the movie spends a lot of time eschewing the conversations on white privilege, masks, stolen land, police brutality, conspiracy theories, paranoia, and social media, and it mostly covers that ground to good effect, sometimes it's a situation of throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks, which will vary greatly depending on the viewer. Aster's core message of familial trauma and manhood is front and center. By the ending of the movie, Sheriff Cross is completely physically disabled, which is so symbolically rich it's almost too obvious. He must be carried naked to the toilet. Yes, we get some dick in this movie, thank God, and is literally cradled by a machine every night when being put to bed. But this is set up importantly with a crucial moment at the movie's finale. Joe returns home hearing noises, thinking there's a break-in and maybe a chance to kill Vernon Jefferson. Silhouetted is what is clearly supposed to be to the audience his wife, Louise, but it's revealed in a weird, subtle darkness transformation, or maybe just a Robitussin haze, to be his mother-in-law, Dawn. This is one of the most important moments of the movie because of how this will impact the ending. Later, Dawn has become the makeshift wife to Joe. Even through his disability, he has maintained his status and helped to complete the construction of the data center, which he was initially against. When she climbs into bed with him at the end of the night, quickly followed in a hilariously strange fashion by his male caretaker, he is again cucked, for lack of a better term. What has Dawn's motive been the entire movie? It's made clear that Joe has been subjugated to a powerful man-child status, silent and unable to speak his truth anymore. Dawn has taken his subsequent rise to power as a way for her to uplift her voice and talk about the conspiracy theories she believes in, and use that to spread her influence. Louise has already fallen prey to another powerful man, now assumed to be carrying Vernon Jefferson's child. How women are viewed in this movie is interesting to watch unravel. I could do a part 2 on that alone. It's also not lost on me that before the movie's final shootout, Sheriff Cross, again, you have to laugh at Phoenix's physicality here, falls through the roof of a local town museum. He takes no time to reflect, running through its halls and dioramas focused solely on his safety. Stowing away into Gunther's pistol palace, he comes out swinging with a machine gun. What was learned from history other than that we should have the right to bear arms? I looked over to my friend Scott here and uttered, wow, everyone has a gun in Eddington. Yikes. I guess what I'm trying to get at is that Ari Aster was really exploring how a family unit was impacted and continues to be impacted by the effects of COVID-19. Lines get blurred, and at the heart of the global event, masculinity and truth, real truth is shattered. Everyone was struggling to hold on to any semblance of reality and meaning in their lives, and the result was a world that became hyper-individualized and glued to their phones for validation. Sheriff Cross is a compelling character even while being a complete and utter piece of shit, because I too fell prey to my own selfish drives during the pandemic, grasping for any kind of control in ways that I feel deep shame for now. People's beliefs became more hardened and founded less on reality and more on a feeling. There's no longer a trust of what's real in this world amongst the global population, but especially in America. Everything hinges on the global cabal of child predators and vaccine deniers. It's all a mess, and Aster wisely presents it as such. Because how can we hope to unpack even a smidgen of the catastrophe of the year 2020 in just 2025? How has it only been 5 years? Time moves strangely in the world of Eddington, but that might be for another video too. It is with an ultimately humane and darkly humorous and even inadvertently compassionate eye that Aster frames all of these ideas for the audience. It is an audacious movie, one where I feel that Aster has firmly planted himself as an importantly contentious director. Simon Pegg recently talked about on a Criterion Closet episode that he showed his daughter David Lynch's Blue Velvet. He explains that she vehemently hated the movie, but that she also talked about it nonstop for days after watching it. This is the power of cinema, and Eddington is an important reminder that one should never be afraid to sit with their own shame, discomfort, and insecurity. Being able to brace yourself and face that change is what will keep you evolving. If a movie makes you uneasy, and Eddington will definitely do that for a lot of people, that's part of the job it's come to do. Entertainment is not always about being a popcorn-biting, smashing good time. It should be uncomfortable and sometimes confrontational. But I would argue that there is a chaotic catharsis, even comfort, amongst the dusty roads and AI centers of Eddington. And here I thought James Gunn's Superman was going to be the most controversial movie of 2025. Eddington is a thought-provoking, well-acted, and well-shot COVID Western film that will go down as one of Ari Aster's most confidently directed movies. With an incredible lead performance from Joaquin Phoenix and supporting cast Emma Stone and Austin Butler with a hilarious script, it may not be for everyone now, but it will undoubtedly age like fine wine. Eddington is a movie that shows that its director has finally hit a true stride in establishing their voice and what they are trying to accomplish in their visual language and directing. It's an exciting movie, one that has reinvigorated not just my love for this director, but for what genre film can really do. What did you think of Eddington? Was it all tumbleweeds and dusty dialogue, or were you locked in for its fresh take on the modern Western? Leave all the comments below, and before you go, don't forget to like and smash that subscribe button. Thank you all so much for watching this video and continuing to support the channel. Until next time, so you vote for Joe Cross. Take back our community. Save our soul.
Look, Joe.
6 feet.